of justice by arresting this old lady. So the police, still holding my ID, went over and conferred. And then one of my buddies among the police, um, uh, they had a conference, and so the officer, he didn't say anything. He just stood there and gave me back the ID. And I said, "Oh, thank you, thank you." He said, "Go, go." I said, "Can I hug you?" "No." And Code Pink, bless their hearts, ready for a photo op, they had my picture taken with the police, and I had a copy of the Constitution in my hand because, I wanted to show John Conyers that, we were supporting the Constitution.
Well, what was the goal of going to John Conyers' office that day?
To petition him to not okay additional appropriation for the fighting of the war. I believe it was that.
Impeachment was a big issue that day.
Oh, that's right too. You see, I'm sorry, I'm a very poor, because everything
you're
gets...
great, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
You've been wonderful.
It was the impeachment issue. Yes, and that's why I had the copy of the Constitution with me. Right, thank you. Yes, and it was really an exciting moment because we were waiting very, very peacefully and with dignity outside Conyers' office, and finally he arrived, and as he marched down the hallway, spontaneously, there were like about 300 people there, all lined up peacefully and respectfully and so on, but spontaneously they all started chanting, and it was very moving. And you know what? The police did not stop us.
It seems like I've been getting the impression that we actually have some supporters and some friends in the Capitol Hill Police. Not all of them object to our position.
Well, I can testify personally that I've had some wonderful conversations with the police inside, while I was serving time, where I was being locked up. And then the most moving experience is when I was released from DC jail after my sentence. I was sentenced for 2 days. Actually, I didn't serve the full 2 days. They counted previous time as the 2 days. But when I was released, I was escorted out by a DC jail officer. And as soon as the gates closed, they're huge iron gates at DC jail that open and then close slowly. And as soon as the gates closed, and he had to stay with me up till he escorted me to the top of the hill. So as soon as the gates closed and we started walking to the top of the hill, he started to thank me. And I just listened to him as he railed against the war, and I thought to myself, he was in his early 50s, and I thought, here is possibly a parent who has lost a child. I didn't know, but
It seems like a lot of folks that believe in law and order, and a lot of our troops, joined out of a genuine commitment and love for our Constitution and rule of law, and I imagine a lot of them are deeply offended when they see our law being abused so badly by those above them.
and even the judge that sentenced me to DC jail, first of all, he said, if I put you under house arrest, will you obey? And I said, probably not. If I fine you, will that make any difference? Probably not. And then he said, Mrs. Tetaz, what am I going to do with you? And I said, come join us, Judge. And he looked down, and that's when he sentenced me. And he said, I have no choice but to sentence you. So he sentenced me, and I was taken out in handcuffs. And my lawyer said that while all this was going on, he didn't look up. He kept looking down. And when they took me out, he did not look at me. He looked down. So I would like to say that he was a man who was afraid to speak truth to power.
That's an interesting thing when a judge is unable to speak or follow through with his true beliefs. When citizens all the time in front of him are.
Are you going to put this? I don't know that this would be appropriate on. Would it?
Well, no names were used, and no particular dates, but I don't see where this would be offensive to anyone. And I mean, we can certainly change it to your liking, but at this point we didn't have names, dates, or times. But what we're doing is we're showing that there are people within the system that have respect for what we're doing, even if they're unable to join us.
And I see a change in attitude since the first time I was arrested and spent the night in jail till the last time. A definite change in attitude among the guards and the marshals and the court. I think that they're far more respectful for those that speak with sincerity and don't try to offend or antagonize or confront in an angry way, because anger is not the solution.
And perhaps an angry message isn't heard either.
An angry message is not heard. And what I am hoping is that in whatever I do and say, that I will not interfere with the message. I mean, it's the message that is important. I don't count.
Well, that's going to get into another issue in a moment where it seems that, well, I guess we could address that now, but there's a movement afoot of which you are a good example, but by no means the only one taking these sort of steps. And it seems to me that increasingly across the country, we're going to work on accumulating this information into one place, but it seems like most of the times you've been arrested, have you been arrested with other people doing similar acts?
Oh yes, always.